Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole McCallister, and I'm one of the social workers here at Ironwood Cancer and Research Centers. Social work is a part of our supportive care services team. A lot of you ask myself and other members of our team about products that you should be using that would be considered safe for beauty, hygiene, around the home. I've had patients say, tell me a good brand, tell me a good recommendation. And really what we want you to be able to do is to be educated, to research and find your own products, things that you feel comfortable with, and maybe check out the products you have at home to see if they're good. You'd be surprised at some of the brand names that are very high end that are not so good for you, and some of the lower end brands that are good and meet a lot of criteria. A tool that we like to use is the Environmental Working Group website. The Environmental Working Group is a nonprofit organization that does a lot of advocacy work and research, and they look into toxic chemicals and how they're used in cosmetics, household products, contaminants in the water, and they do lobbying to develop laws and regulations so that big corporations have to make changes in order to have safe products available. The Environmental Working Group is a part of the United States, and so solely its work is done here. And today I'm going to show you a little bit about what's on their website and how to use their tools in order to make good choices for your home. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to explore a little bit on the web. So if you're searching, again, you're just going to search the internet for EWG, Environmental Working Group. And here's a little Wikipedia that says a little bit about what I just said. So they are an activist group that specializes in research and advocacy in the areas of agricultural, toxic chemicals, drinking waters, and corporate accountability. They're not a government agency. And they also don't align with one company over another, which is really nice. So there are thousands and thousands of products that you can do research on the Environmental Working Group's website. Kind of hard to say, sorry. Let's take a peek. So if you come to their main page, it talks about finding resources and how they've done all this research and provided education to the public in order to allow people to make smart and healthy decisions. So the first section just talks a little bit about their mission, who they are, impact that they've had, how they're funded. And then this goes into areas of focus. So this is where I'm going to start, and we're going to talk about a little bit about each of these. So the PFAS chemicals. This is an area they've done a lot of research in, and it's known as the forever chemicals that are not great for your body, that have been found in a lot of household products, including plastic containers, Teflon pans. We're not saying that all plastic's bad or that all Teflon's bad. There's been a lot of changes that have happened in big corporations to make improvements to allow products to be safe. But we want you to be able to know about this. So if you want to read more and maybe you're considering moving to all glass Tupperware or different pans or bamboo bowls, this would be a really good place for you to start and kind of learn about PFAS. So then it talks about other issues. There's the whole topic on COVID. They talk about food and water, different agricultural research that's going on and studies about alternate proteins and the beef industry and meat packaging and a variety of topics. So you could go here and kind of start your journey learning about food and the research that's been done on the food that you find in our grocery stores, as well as water. And we're going to get to a whole section on water that talks about your tap water. And you can even put in your zip code and search to find out how your city and your area of your city zip code, based by zip code, how your water kind of scores. I warn you, once you start looking on this website, it's a great way to start digging, and you kind of end up in a rabbit hole, and there's so much to learn. Now you could be on here for hours and still come back another time and learn more. Here's where we're going to focus on mainly today, and that's personal care products. These are the things that patients ask about the most. This includes sunscreen, makeup, hair, maybe skin is now sensitive, or you're just looking at how can I make some minor changes in my overall lifestyle that might reduce my risk of reoccurrence or being exposed to something that's not good for me. And EWG has this great tool called Skin Deep, and you can search all the products. So we're going to do that today, but this is the main page where it talks about different product lines that they've researched that are good, some that are bad. Here they talk about benzene, which is a widespread kind of chemical that's found in a lot of aerosol products, whether it's makeup, dry shampoos, sunscreens, and benzene is kind of linked to some cancer-causing research. So that can go into there. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm not an expert, but if I wanted to read more about it, the research has been done and you can find it there. So a lot of different things you can find here. Here's where you can go pick out sunscreen that's been ranked very high and healthy. And we're going to show what that would look like if you just searched it on their main page. And then it talks about what is EWG verified. So I personally, when I look for things, I look for this sticker. And you'll see it on bottles of shampoo, lotions, etc., face products. If you go to Sprouts, you're going to see a lot of products that have this label. But what does exactly it mean that it's EWG verified? So if you click on this link here, it kind of takes you to it, and it says that the products are safe. They meet the standards. They don't have any ingredients of concern that pose a risk to your health, toxic contaminations, etc. So the products label all of their ingredients because they're not required by law to list every ingredient that's in there, only a certain amounts, like the ones that are like the majority of that product. And so you need to look, because sometimes products forget to list a couple of their tiny items, and maybe those are the ones of concern. So an EWG verified product lists everything, full transparency, and none of that poses a risk to your health. It's not toxic. They have an unacceptable list. Now, you have nothing better to do. It's 230 pages roughly of chemical names that I can't pronounce, and what their risk is, if they're cancer causing, if they're a skin irritant. A lot of things you're going to see on here that show up with like a negative number. It's not necessarily that they cause cancer or that they're toxic or that they can affect your reproductive or your organs and tissues, but a lot of people have skin sensitivity. So certain things can really be triggered by the sun, and especially here in Arizona, when you're in as much sun as we have, you need to be really careful. For example, a lot of face products contain lactic acid, and that helps break down like old tissues and refresh your skin and give you that dewy, glowy look. And there's nothing wrong with it, except if you wear that during the day and you go out in the sun, it amplifies in the sun and you are very prone to sunburn. So those are products that go into like night serums or nighttime moisturizers, because that's when it's safe to wear something like that, as long as you're not going into a tanning bed. So you want to make sure you wash your face, you put sunscreen on, and you're being careful when you're outside. But we'll get into some more examples of all that. But that unacceptable list is on here. There's a link, but again, it's 230 pages. There's no way for me to memorize all of those. But I have paid attention to words like paraben, benzene, kind of the big ones that you see and they talk about a lot. The third thing that must be done in order to be EWG verified is that they use good manufacturing practices. They don't test on animals, they review things, they pull stuff if it's found to cause an issue or interact. And so they're constantly monitoring and using clean methods to develop their stuff. So we're gonna go back to this main page, and we're gonna use their Skin Deep tool, and we're going to start looking at some of the ones. So as you can see, they look at all these types of products, so you can kind of click on it from there, go to a brand. We're going to go back to their very home page, if it allows me. Of course, we're going to just start over here. There it is, the Skin Deep database. So the first time I saw this, I ended up like pulling everything out of my drawers and my cabinets and my purse and running everything. And well, no one expects you to throw away everything that's in your home. And it doesn't have to be an EWG verified. We do recommend that, obviously, because we know it's safe. They use good ingredients and they have clean practices on how they manufacture. But if you don't have an issue with things irritating your skin, like essential oils or citric products or some of the artificial fragrance, if that doesn't bother you, then don't worry. And we're not saying throw away everything and replace it all with just EWG verified products. That would be an expensive trip to Sprouts or a makeup department. So maybe making small changes over time will have a small impact for the better, but a smaller impact on your wallet. So here is the main page of Skin Deep, and it's a really easy tool to use. They have a lot of links. They have an app that you can use. They have a whole section just on diapers, as you can see. And again, there's more research, tons and tons of research. And some of the things you see make you want to click on it, like, is there Teflon in your cosmetics? Like, that makes me want to look at it. That's the non-stick product that goes on my pan that I cook eggs in, but why would it be in my makeup for my face? So I'd want to click on that and read more. There's a whole thing about children's health and things to be aware of. So as you can see, over 86,000 products and almost 3,000 brands are in here. And there's over 2,000 that have been labeled as EWG verified. So how do you find out? So here we go. So maybe you're looking for a good shampoo. So you just type in shampoo. Maybe you don't have a brand in mind. So here's the scale. So here's that EWG verified. Everything's like perfectly, acceptable on it. 1 and 2, there's nothing usually to worry about. 3, 4, 5, and 6, sometimes there's nothing to worry about. Again, if you're one of those sensitive skin people, you might show up, and we're going to give you a couple examples on here. This might be an area for you that would be a problem because of the fragrance or certain elements that are in there. Maybe not though. So it's kind of, that's why it's like the yellow, like proceed with caution, take a deeper look. These red ones, we want you to take an even deeper look because there might be things in there that are unhealthy and we want you to be safe. So again, this is a tool for you to use to find your own safe products on. So we typed in shampoo and this is what comes up. All these brands that you can find on Amazon, and some of them are in grocery stores. I know I use a lot of Avalon shampoos, and I have in the past, and body washes and different things, and they're a great product. They're all EWG verified. They're made with like essential oils, scents, so great lavender, tea tree, etc. This is a moisturizing coconut. Sounds delicious and makes you want to be in the tropics. But Sprouts carries it, and I've also seen them at some of the CVS and Walgreens. So, and you can find it on Amazon. A lot of these things, if you want to try, I've bought Attitude brands for one of my friends who was having a baby, and that's a very healthy brand. Again, there's that Avalon Organics. Attitude pops up on a lot. So you could keep going through here, and again, tons and tons of products. But what I want to see are the worst ones. This is where people get a little nervous and maybe find one that they don't like. Here's a great example right here. This Good Mark hair color spray-on shampoo. See how the bottle is blank? Most likely that company has pulled it and is no longer maybe using that as an option. But the Main Choice. Let's take a look at that and see. I've never really heard of that brand. There's a Bath and Body, a Kenra. I've seen those. Batiste, I've seen that at Walgreens before. So there are some brands, John Frieda. Oh, I've used that one long time ago. But let's pull up the Main Choice, because that was the first one that popped up when we searched worst to best, and take a look a little deeper to find out, why is it so bad? Why does it rank an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10? So it comes down here and it talks about the ingredient concerns. And there's 4 categories that they search for. One, are there products in there, chemicals in there that are known to cause cancer or been linked to cancer? Are there ones that affect your allergies or immunotoxicity? Are there developmental and reproductive toxicity? So it can affect your organs and your system on that. So on this one, it says there's a little bit of cancer-causing material in here, and it's pretty high for the allergies and immunotoxicity, as well as the developmental and reproductive toxicity, and has some use restrictions that are high. So it talks about that there's irritants in there, and endocrine disruption, things that mess with your body functions, I think are something that you should kind of go, that's a no for me. Personally, when I look at products on here, if it shows up with anything that's above none on the cancer rating, that's a no for me. We're going to be really cautious and careful. So then you start kind of going in here, and this is why it's important to look. So this 8 ranking right here, that's for the fragrance. And it does say that there's a high risk because of allergy, immunotoxicity, and irritant for the skin. And so those could be that type of fragrance perfume. It's not natural. It's not organic. It's not something that comes from the earth. It's something that's artificially made and could trigger a response in your skin that you could have an allergic reaction, or it could like burn on your skin if you're in the sun, etc. So those are really important to watch out for. But it talks about this yellow number 5, which is just a fake colorant. So makes that product nice and good color, but it has low cancer causing risks. So again, for me personally, if I see that, that's a no. I'm moving on to the next search. So you're looking at all these, and it kind of says, here's another one. And then it goes into what are the good ingredients. Again, you can also, on that Skin Deep site, you don't have to just type in like shampoo or conditioner. You can just choose an ingredient and go, what does this mean? And so a lot of times people are concerned about parabens, and so it'll talk about that. So these are obviously ones that say paraben and dye free, so that's good. But this one, it's a 6, and it doesn't say paraben free. So there's some parabens that are associated with cancer risk, and there's some that aren't. So obviously in here, there's not. So it just talks about some of the fragrance and the other things. But again, the cancer risk on this product is in the none. So that's good. So when I came on here recently and was getting a whole new skin line of products, I said, I don't know what to do. And I had heard about this set of products. So I typed in the name, and it came up with 30 different ones. And I got excited when I started searching was every single one that was popping up had that stamp of approval. And I was like, yes, we're gonna make good choices for what I'm gonna use. So I bought the face cleanser. I bought all of it, but I got this night serum. I got moisturizer. We got anti-aging stuff to work on those wrinkles around the corners of your eye. And all of it had really good. Plus, I have a lot of sensitivities to the sun, so I have to use mineral sunscreen. So I was really excited to find out that Biossance had this squalene and zinc pure mineral sunscreen, and it's EWG verified. SPF 30. It's really goes on really light, so you don't have like white caked on all over your skin. So squalene is a natural plant derivative that does a lot of good moisturizing. That's why it's in a lot of their products. It's moisture, moisture, moisture. And anytime you see squalene, that's what it is. There's also a lot of hair products that have squalene in it. So it's a natural plant-based moisturizer. So here's makeup. And we're gonna pick, let's see. Ooh. Let's go to concealers. So again, mine's sorted best to worst. So Honest Beauty does come up a lot as a good one. And you can find those at Target. You can find those at a lot of different places. So again, you might not recognize some of these names because they're smaller countries or companies, but you can Google them, look on Amazon, I always recommend. But here is the worst to best search of makeup concealers. And so it looks like these couple of brands are heavy hitters for not being so great. This Black Opal and Dermacol. So I'm gonna pop up this first one and let's take a look. So again, don't just go off the number, dig deep, skin deep, and read in there and kind of see why does it say it's bad. So no cancer concerns on this one. Lots of concern for developmental and reproductive toxicity. So it can affect those organs. So if you're someone who's trying to get pregnant or you're a young age and you're going to be thinking about babies maybe in a couple of years, you want to make sure you're not using products that could be toxic to your reproductive system. And there's a lot of, again, the high allergy and immunotoxicity. So this one does have a paraben in it. And parabens are not known to, from what the research says, they're not known to like cause cancer, but they can interrupt like the endocrine system, which can affect your balance and flow of hormones, which some cancers kind of get pushed further along by hormones like estrogen. Also, they've been found in the tumors, the breast tumors, but not that we don't know exactly understand their role, but, and it's not all parabens, but some of the parabens. So when there's a bad one that shows up, it's always a sign to say, let's move on. So that's why this one doesn't have that cancer rating, is because it's not known to cause cancer. It's known to affect these other things, and that may be a reason that a certain type of cancer grows or grows faster. So then there's other chemicals and things that affect that, the fragrance again. So another type of paraben in there. But like this citron product, citronello, I don't know. This would be fun. This would be a fun game that you can play at home with some friends, is try to pronounce the ingredient names. I always get excited when I find products where I can read the ingredient list and understand what is in there, instead of reading this and having no idea what any of this means. So you want to kind of take and search for all these. So that's looking up on the Skin Deep site. And again, sunscreen, skincare, hair, nails, makeup, fragrance, everything, toothpaste. There's even a section just for men products. And then we're going to go back to the main line here. Now we're going to talk about water. What is it to do this? For some reason, my computer doesn't like to go back to the main one. So we're going to learn about food and water. We're specifically going to take a look at the water. Food stuff is one of the tools that they have if you're trying to watch the amount of mercury you have, if you're someone who likes sushi and fish, but you want to make sure you're not eating too much. They have a Mercury Calculator, so you can use it and like enter, and it kind of tells you if you're okay, could you tolerate more, maybe you've had too much and you need to stop from there. So here's all this research that they've done on water. and what kind of chemicals they find. And then here's their guide to safe drinking water. Now, before I start to show you some numbers, I want you to kind of remember that there's not, the regulations on these do allow for small amounts and traces of certain chemicals that if you heard the name, you'd be like, why is that allowed to be in my water? And that's the way that the laws are right now. So this shows like which ones are found, and then it says if it's at a legal rate in the water. And so if things are not at legal rates and they're of concern and the water is considered polluted, I know a couple years back there was a big story on the news about Flint, Michigan, and how their water was so bad and it was contaminated and it was violating all the rules, and so they had to shut down water and bring it in and fix it and kind of rework it, and EWG was involved in that. So just remember, take it with a grain of salt, read more, don't panic. Also on this site, which is really nice with the water, is data's recent. It was just updated last year, so it's going to show some current information, but it also gives a link to find good water filters, which is something a lot of people ask about too, either for your home or like those Brita filters. Like, is the Brita filters good enough? Like, those you can buy anywhere. Are they good? Are they going to make my water safe for me to drink or healthier to drink? So we're going to put in the zip code of one of our lovely offices in Scottsdale, and it's going to bring up the zip code, and here, yep, city of Scottsdale, serving roughly 230,000 people. So we're going to take a peek at the water. So it says it's been tested through 2020, and it's working on adding it for 2021. So 8 elements were found that exceed the Environmental Working Group's health guidelines. That doesn't mean it violates the city laws, the state laws, the federal laws regarding water. It means what EWG says they recommend. There's 8 in there. And it did find a total of 22 contaminants, but only 8 exceeded the amount. So if you take a peek, go into a little bit further, this is what I'm talking about as far as why would arsenic ever be okay to be found in water. But even EWG says it's possible to find minimal amounts in there. And the legal limit is 10. It was the 3.76 was found. So that kind of gives you an idea of, well, if you're allowed to have 10, and that's by law, and what the federal government and everything says that is safe for people, and you have 3.76, you're not even halfway, to that unsafe mark. But according to the EWG, it's over. So they list it on here. So it talks about all these different uranium, nitrates, and talks about what it was found, how it compares to EWG's recommendation, and then what the legal limit is. So again, they test for other things, and it goes into all that. If there was like violations, it'll talk about that. And then there's always these water filters, and it talks about which ones can reduce the contaminant levels found in this water. So this here, this activated carbon, that's your Brita filter. Reverse osmosis, that's like kind of the system that you have at your sink that does reverse osmosis, that kind of pulls the water through, runs it through the different systems, and then pulls things out, puts it back in. And so all these can be fixed with one of those. And then the ion exchange, that's the big household kind of systems. So it looks like your Brita can touch a few things, but it doesn't get some of the bigger ones like arsenic, uranium, nitrates. But reverse osmosis could clear up all of those. So it kind of goes in through all of them and explains that. So it looks like those carbon filters do help, but they're not perfect, and they even don't get a high percentage of the contaminants out of there. So you might want to consider if that's a concern for you doing something bigger like the reverse osmosis water system. a lot more information. How do they come up with their standards, what it is. You can even get a whole guide sent to you. And then there's just, again, more tips about how specifically in your area, how could you reduce unsafe, unhealthy, or things that aren't recommended at certain levels for your area. So pretty exciting stuff, interesting stuff, maybe a little scary to read about some things, but again, this isn't meant to be scary. This is meant to empower you to make choices for yourself. I'm a person who drinks tap water for the most part. Sometimes I run it through a bit of filter. So maybe I need to be a little bit more careful about that and drink more good filtered water. So then back up here, other areas of focus. So household and consumer products. This is cleaning supplies, and they talk about what's safe. Cookware, even cell phones is on there. Wondering if there's radiation or long-term harm in having a phone right up to your ear and your face so much. And so they talk about all of that. Again, containers, there's a lot of talk about not using plastic and using glass or these bamboo or like metal containers for your food. So lots of things you could read. Again, you could be on here for hours and kind of catching all of this. All their consumer guides for all their different areas of focus are on here. So like the Skin Deep, how to get things that are EWG verified, the water, a Dirty Dozen. So I didn't necessarily want to read this, but I did. And this kind of goes over, there's a lot of ads on here. What are the top 12 items that you have to be really careful about as far as washing and making sure they're really clean, because they're made of material that's absorbing. And so if pesticides are used, if you don't get organic, they can absorb things. Like the soft skin of a strawberry, it's very porous, and so anything that gets on the strawberry can be absorbed into the strawberry, including bad stuff. So just rinsing it with water, sometimes you need to be a little careful. So if you're in a place where you need to be watching for this stuff, these are the Dirty Dozen that you need to kind of make sure you get organic on or look at different options. So all these are my favorites. So I have switched over to organic. So it talks about all this, talks about raisins. I'm gonna have to read about that because I like raisins. I didn't know about that. So lots and lots of stuff, scores for food, and your grocery stores you can find. Again, there's an app. So we're just wanting you to just be more mindful of the products you use, the foods you buy, and just be aware of some of the research that's been done so you can make some safe choices for yourself. We're always here for you to help you. Your doctors are very knowledgeable about a lot of these things. But if you have some free time on your hands and you want to do some self-study, again, ewg.org is the website, and you can go and read for hours and hours and hours and use all of their tools to check your water, check your makeup, your skin products, your hair products, and your household cleaning products, as well as bigger things like food and meat. And it always not always says what's bad or of concern, but let's give you some good suggestions for how you can replace it. Again, if your water has some contaminants, it talks about what you can do on your own to fix that and make it safer for you. I hope you learned something today. I hope this was helpful to you. Please join us again for any of our other sessions. We have so many videos available on YouTube on our Ironwood Cancer and Research Center's website. The little link is at the very top to our YouTube page, or you can go to YouTube and search Ironwood and find us. Look for our yellow tree with the blue circle around it. Lots of our doctors do education on cancer, and our supportive care services team has done a lot of videos on a variety of subjects. So we want you to be in the know and learn something new. And we give you lots of opportunity to do that on our educational videos. So thank you for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for our virtual Lunch and Learn series. We hope you enjoyed this session. There will be a replay of this Lunch and Learn on the Ironwood YouTube and social media channels. For more information regarding our supportive care services classes and events, email us at wellness@ironwoodcrc.com. Thank you for spending time with us today.